Hello and welcome to Jibby 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 Jibby. Hello. Sorry.
Test
Let me
one.
get this.
Test two.
Hello and welcome to In the Library with
Marsha.
and Adrian. And today we have with us special guest.
Viola.
Welcome, Viola. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Viola.
I have the pleasure of working with you and knowing all about you, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you, what you do here, what you did before here?
I'm a reference librarian here at Ellis. And before that, I was a library media specialist and computer teacher for Monroe Public Schools for 20 years.
Yes. All right.
And I failed retirement and was seeing people, so I'm back here as a reference librarian.
Failed retirement is common here in the Monroe County Library System. All right. So thank you, Vi, and thank you for joining us today. You wear many hats around here and do many tasks, but I really wanted to kind of highlight specifically what you have going on upstairs at the Ellis Library and Reference Center currently. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's here and what about it?
Well, this is the 112th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. And I have been fascinated with the Titanic ever since I was about 8 years old. And I had an uncle who had a book written in 1912, the year it sank, and I read it when I was 8. And I have been fascinated with the Titanic ever since. And I have read about it. And when Robert Ballard found the Titanic in September of 1985, a company called RHM Titanic got salvage rights, and they started bringing up things from the ocean floor between the artifact field, and the exhibits started appearing all over the country, and I attended many of them. And so I have copies of the dishes, some jewelry, I have all kinds of books, and we have a cabinet here at Ellis where we can do displays, and I brought in all of my Titanic things and have them on display.
It's it is a nice display. And there's going to be hopefully a photo. Thank you, editor. There'll be a nice photo, a little bit of it for you. I'm assuming it'll be up here at least through the end of April into May. So if you are listening to this, come on over to upstairs to the Ellis Library and Reference Center and check it out. Adrian, do you have any questions for Vi?
My first question is, have you seen Titanic?
You mean the movie, or do you mean I have seen replicas of the Titanic. There is a museum in Branson, Missouri, and there's also one in Tennessee. That the one in Branson is a half-scale model of the Titanic with a fake iceberg out front.
So have you seen the James Cameron version?
And I've seen that multiple times.
There is.
I have seen all kinds of documentaries.
There are some on display here too as well.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Have you seen Titanic, Adrian?
I have, but I have to ask, have you seen Titanic 2 from 2010?
No, I haven't.
No, I'm not. Explain.
Is it bones and underwater?
It's about a boat called the Titanic 2, and you'll never guess what happens.
Well, actually, they were supposed to be a Titanic 2. An Australian millionaire a few years back was going to build a Titanic 2 and have people able to go on a replica. And I and a lot of other people was hoping that would go on
it. Yes. That would be the ultimate Titanic tribute, wouldn't it? I just hope it would have a different ending.
Yeah.
I hope the last stop is not the bottom of the ocean.
We hope that they take a route that's a little southern to the iceberg.
Yes, and maybe not end up at the bottom of the ocean, but that would be a cool experience. That would be the ultimate Titanic experience.
That would be the ultimate Titanic too.
What's your favorite artifact that you have over there, or your favorite Titanic experience that you've had?
The favorite experience I had of all, I've gone to exhibits in Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, and Missouri, a number of other places. But the biggest of all was the 100th anniversary. The Henry Ford had the most gigantic display. And to celebrate the opening of it, they had a dinner. It sold out to get tickets in 5 minutes. And I did get tickets. And people flew in from all over the world for the opening of that exhibit. I was the only person at my table other than my husband from Michigan. I sat with people from Texas and other states. The furthest was Texas. And there were people that flew in from out of the country for this, because there is such a cadre of people who are utterly fascinated by it. The dinner was a multi-course meal similar to what first class would have eaten. And then when it was over, they opened the exhibit. They had an iceberg that you could put your hand on. Many of the exhibits had that, so you could feel the temperature. And when you go through the exhibits, they give you a boarding pass with a name on for somebody who was on the Titanic. And at the end, you can see the lists, whether you survived or not. But
Did you survive?
Some of the times I
Oh,
haven't.
you've done it more
Other
than once.
times I haven't. I've done it multiple
Live to
times.
tell. That's kind of cool. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're third class, your chances are
Right.
and if you're a man, but since I only get female,
Sure. Sure.
but my husband hasn't made it a number of times.
Well,
I've been widowed a number of times.
Well, let's hope that's not a premonition.
No.
Adrian, anything from you?
I'm going to ask you some questions you may or may not know the answer to. Do you know who built the Titanic?
Harland and Wolff. The White Star was the shipbuilders. It was built in Belfast, Ireland. It took 3 years to build. And the designer was Thomas Andrews and Lord Priory. And the owner of the White Star Line is who commissioned the building. Actually, White Star Line had been bought up, and J. Pierpont Morgan was actually one of the owners of the Titanic through his mercantile ship company.
I think he thought he was going to stump you, but that's pretty good.
It was a much more thorough answer than I was expecting. I'm not going to be able to stump her.
No, I think she answered questions 1 through 5 already on your list.
Okay. All right. Here's a tricky one for you. Do you know how long the Titanic was?
It was 882 feet long, and it had 10 decks. It was the biggest ship in the world at the time it was built. So,
are you going to tell him to do better than that? Oh, I think she's asking for it, Adrian.
Let's see. Do you know where it was supposed to land?
New York. It set out from Southampton, England, and a few people that got on there were just going across the channel. It set out from Southampton. The next stop was Cherbourg, France, which I've been to all of these places.
Nice.
Okay,
Because
I'm dedicated.
Because of the Titanic? Have you went to these places?
I went to Southampton because of the Titanic and have been to that museum.
Nice.
I was in Cherbourg, but it was closed while I was there. But so the majority of the people and the majority of the people that were working on the Titanic boarded in Southampton, and then they stopped in front of Cherbourg, France. They had to ferry people out because the Titanic was too big to land in any of their port.
Isn't that one?
And then they went to Queensland, which is now known as Cobb, Ireland. And about 7 people got off and more people got on there. From Queensland, it was never seen. Ireland, it was never seen again. There was an Irish priest named Francis Brown. He wasn't a full priest, but he was studying to be a priest, and he took 42,000 pictures during his lifetime. He chronicled a lot of World War I, but also he took pictures of the Titanic. His uncle gave him first class passage and he got on at Southampton and got off in Ireland.
Oh.
And so all the pictures we have of the Titanic are his, with the exception of one lady who took a few, but he took most of them. And he was so fascinating that a first-class couple that he sat with offered to pay his passage just because they could afford it and they could enjoy his company. He contacted the priesthood because he was supposed to be studying, and they said, "No, get off." You
And
can't
saved
do it.
and
You have
therefore
to report,
saved his life.
You have to report.
Oh.
You have to report your study.
Oh my goodness!
And
Therefore,
so
saving his life, huh?
and they saved his life. But,
Wow, that's great. Well, anything, Adrian, that she hasn't covered yet?
There is clearly no way I can stump this one.
One of the saddest things, though, there were 885 people working on the Titanic, and 699 of them were from Southampton.
Oh, wow, that was a big population. for
And
that.
and most of them didn't make it.
Oh,
So
that's
the
sad.
town of Southampton was
affected the most.
was
with-
utterly devastated.
Oh. Shifting gears a little bit away from the Titanic. I mean, is there more you want to share about that? Or okay,
if you want to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
well, either way, I was going to talk a little bit about the library too, but you can, if you have more facts, you can share those first, and then we can finish up with library stuff.
I think it was very sad that it went down. It only had 20 lifeboats, but for the time that it wasn't breaking any regulations. Now, but the United States was far thinking at that time. We had the rule that you had to not have enough lifeboats for everyone on board, but we didn't enforce that England had to follow our rule. After the Titanic sank, that changed. And so there were some good things.
Right.
It's sad that
that safety precautions became a
but
thing.
safety
But that's true of most things.
changed
Airport
dramatically.
security. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that happens a lot.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, only 20% of the men on board survived, and also it was one of the first uses of telegraph. And Marconi, who invented the telegraph, was offered free passage but didn't take it,
Oh,
or he would have gone down. And thanks to if there hadn't been a telegraph on there, they probably no one would have found the people in the boats. So after the Titanic, telegraph 24 hours a day was mandated on ships.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of
things that came of that.
decent things that came out of it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this. You have amazing stuff that you brought here. There's amazing stuff on display. I would invite everyone to come and view this. Particularly, I'm hopeful they come when you're here, because then you can share your experiences and answer questions of Titanic trivia. So come anytime while that's up. I was also going to talk a little bit about the I Love a Mystery book club that you and I both attend.
Mhm.
The next meeting for that will be here at the Ellis Library and Reference Center. And we are meeting on May 8th. It's a Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we will be discussing The Silence by Kendra Elliott. Have you finished it?
I haven't started.
Okay. Usually you're way ahead of me. So we will both
I
be
mean,
here if
when
you
I
want
knew
to see
I
both
could
of us.
I reread
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the.
You've been reading
Actually,
Titanic now.
I actually I have a copy of the original book and a copy of the original book I read in 1912, and I reread.
Is that what this one is right here?
That is.
So when I
The
ask what you're
original
reading now,
book-
what's the title of this one? What are you
This
reading
is
now?
The Sinking of the Titanic, but I'm also reading The Splendid and the Vile by Eric Larson.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. We talked about that too, because
Mhm.
I
That's
have
on
a-
Winston Churchill.
oh, yeah.
In case you don't figure it out, I kind of like history and I like a lot of nonfiction.
Yeah, she comes to I Love a Mystery book club, but you're very sporty there.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite thing about working at the library?
I love the staff. I love seeing people. I think it's the most, it's such an incredibly enjoyable job. I get to use my mind. I get to see people, and I just love the job. It's absolutely delightful in all ways. And I've enjoyed getting to know you. But
Yay.
all of this.
I love this job too. I think we all kind of agree on that.
Staff.
Even Adrian?
Well,
No.
I've only met you. You are a bit of an enigma.
I say that all the time.
But I'm looking forward to maybe getting to know you more.
Yes. Well, you'll get another opportunity to see him on Friday, May 3rd, when all of the
Okay.
branches of the Monroe County Library System will be closed for our all-staff day training,
Mhm.
which is actually taking place here, but every branch in the system will be closed that day on Friday, May 3rd. So if you call or you show up and you wonder why we're closed, we will be doing staff training. It's kind of a great opportunity to see other staff. That will be fun too. And what about you, Adrian? Do you got any? I was going to talk a little bit about National Poetry Month. Will this be up in time? I guess you'll have a few days left in April if you want to submit your poem to
Just a few more.
Yeah. And the Taylor Swift program coming up at Bedford. What else do you have going on that you want to share about?
May 7th is our next quizzical. If
Oh,
people are
yeah.
interested in that.
Is that a Tuesday?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you have room left to sign up and register?
There is still room left.
Is registration required?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have some of your return candidates coming back, your cutthroat winners who like to win? What you got, or don't you know yet?
I have confirmation that at least 2 previous teams will be returning. So, but that doesn't mean they'll have an edge. So if you're
That's
interested,
true.
please sign up.
That's true. Come knock them off their pedestal. I was going to talk a little bit about the other book club here at Ellis. There's multiple book clubs here at Ellis, but another one that we have is the Paging Through the Civil War history and that one, their next meeting is going to be on May 23rd, and they're going to be discussing Destruction and Reconstruction by Richard Taylor. So if you are a Civil War fan or a history
I've
buff,
read many of their books.
have you
I've read?
by Richard Taylor, you know that? Okay. Oh, you mean,
My husband's in it, and we sometimes both read.
so he
I
attends,
work
does he
that-
attend this?
He attends it.
Oh, wonderful.
But
Well, yeah, tell a little bit about some of your other history stuff that you have and know and go at your house. Your whole house is like a museum, really. Name some other things you have, some interesting artifacts and stuff that you have. I'm putting you on the spot. but-
Okay. My grandfather and great grandfather were furniture makers and undertakers. And all 4 of my grandparents were born during the Civil War. And so we have a lot of antiques in the family, and I have probably the one piece of furniture is a very intricate oak side bird that's 8 feet tall and 10 feet long. So, and a lot of other pieces, and we both like antiques, and my husband likes antique cannons. And so we have antique cannons from the 1700s to true World War I reference.
About how many cannons does he own, or do you have?
No, about 17.
Wow.
They're not in.
No, they're
Not
scattered
right
around,
now,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing. That's a wonderful hobby. So that for all you history buffs, this is the Ellis Library and Reference Center has their own group that meets the nights around the Civil War Roundtable meets,
yes.
not nights, the Civil War Roundtable meets, as well as the book club, which is a lot of the same people. So go to mymcls.com events calendar to check out these. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so informative. I learned a lot. I hope that anyone who is hearing this still has time and they can come on over and check out your exhibit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
For having me.
This has been In the Library with
Marsha.
and Adrian and our special guest.
Viola.
Yay. Thank you. Bye.